Fold one. Arm drag. Whoa! This is
Brett screwed Brett.
Who are you to doubt El Dandy? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Brett screwed Brett.
Fold two. Arm bar.
Hey, get a nice shot of the brand new Mr. and Mrs. Hunter Hurst Helmsley.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate your hat. I hate your t-shirts. I hate your wristbands. I hate your shoes. I hate your music. I hate the C Nation. I hate everything that you stand for.
Sodas rule. Yeah, they do.
Fold three. The moss covered. Three-handle family gradunzel.
Live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., this is the RCWR Show with your host, Lee Sanders.
And coming at you live on Tuesday Night Decision 2012. This is the Tuesday night edition of the RCWR Show. I'm, of course, as always, the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. Thank you guys for checking out tonight's episode. Coming at you right now on November 6th, 2012. Sorry, folks, we had a little bit of a off start. Do apologize about that. But, hey, we're rocking and we're rolling, so let's have at it. We have the chat room that is loaded up right now. Feel free to jump on in there. That's at Blog Talk Radio. Thank those of you that's checking us out on Blog Talk Radio right now and also at our Stitcher website and over at InfinityOneProductions.com. We know that for the next 8, 9, 10 hours, there is going to be nothing but presidential coverage as is Decision 2012. Hopefully you guys had went out there earlier today and you had cast your vote. If there was ever a time for you to let your voices be heard, make that stand, whether it is for change or just letting your voices be heard and you like the direction that the country is going right now, this is your time. It mainly comes every 4 years. You know this. Hopefully you got out there and you voted. If you did not vote, hopefully you're kind of maybe like me and you sat up and you say, you know what, I don't really like either candidates, as both of them aren't really the way to go right now. We just need somebody new altogether that I can respect you for sure. Hey, I don't care what anybody else might say about you. If you didn't vote today, if you kind of had that mentality like I did, you just didn't see anybody to cast that vote for, I don't blame you for not voting, okay? So when you pop open that beer, just know you got a friend in me. I feel where you're coming from. And, you know, before we go into tonight's show, we have a few corrections that we want to make tonight. And it's actually very brief corrections, something that we try to do now because we actually do play back our episodes. And one of us, I believe it was co-producer Tammy who came up with the idea. If you make any errors on one show, talk about it on the next show. So that actually was her idea, so I thank her for that. And it was at the beginning of Impact Showdown Radio, I believe last week, or it was on the weekend report of the RCWR show, where we had got a caller from the New York area. It was our good buddy Don, and he was telling us what all was going on in his neck of the woods, how to not really trip, how basically he was just out of power at his job for 10 days. He wasn't going to be able to work. Well, luckily for him and people in his area, it wasn't as bad. Now, for you guys out there and you gals that like your NFL football, if you happen to see football coverage on Sunday going into Monday, you know just how devastating Hurricane Sandy was. From mainly what we were able to gather as lovely co-producer Tammy, she actually knows somebody that has friends, family in the New York area. And correct me if I'm wrong, co-producer Tammy, who's going to be joining us in the later part of the show, but she's paying attention to the electoral votes right now. I believe your friend had said that Sandy had hit in the lower part of Manhattan in New York. Right, okay, I'm glad I remembered that correctly. And, of course, New Jersey, they were hit by it very bad. And the lower part of Manhattan, they were hit around Staten Island. They were hit pretty bad up around there. Of course, New Jersey, they were hit very bad. We can't stress it enough. If you have not donated, please do so. It really goes a long way, whatever you can afford to spare. I have 2 links that I'm going to share with you guys right now, and I'm going to post them up in the chat room during the course of the show. Of course, for those of you that are checking out the show right now and you're in the chat room, feel free to post the links if you know exactly the links I'm talking about. Now, New York Mayor Bloomberg, he gave one link where you can help out those in New York City, and that link is nyc.gov/fund. Basically, www.nyc.gov/fund, and you can donate whatever you're able to donate through that website. You can also text them from your mobile phone. You can text them at NYC Fund, all right? That's what you want to send to 50555. Again, just text NYC Fund to 50555. And, of course, we got to show some love to those of you in the New Jersey area, for those of you that were really devastated by Hurricane Sandy. There is a link that you could do for New Jersey as well. And that link, let me just pull it up right now for you guys while it's still fresh in my mind. You can go to text on your mobile phone. Just text Red Cross to 90999. Once again, just text Red Cross to 90999. And the best part about that, if you're doing it on your mobile phone, it won't show up until your next billing cycle, okay? And that's $10 that'll go to the Red Cross. We'll post those links up in the later part of the show so that for those of you that are in the chat room, those of you that's listening to the chat room and you're seeing all the activity that's happening in the chat room, y'all will be able to see those links, click on it, go at it at your own accord. We just had to get that out there, though. All right, so we got a pretty solid show tonight. We're going to try to keep it as brief as possible because, like many of you, we over here are very curious as far as who could possibly be the next president of the United States. And I know me personally, when it comes to this happening every 4 years, I am always staying up with a cup of coffee, and I'm watching it all the way until 3 in the morning until I know a decisive winner. So we just really want to try to keep this show be as brief tonight. So we're mainly going to cover the fallout from WWE Raw this past Monday night. We're going to cover what all had went down on SmackDown earlier tonight. And, you know, for those that thought SmackDown was live, a little bit of unfortunate news. It wasn't live. No, it was taped. Turns out they had did it earlier in the day or the other day, so unfortunately it was tape delayed once again. We'll get more into details about that in a little bit. And we also want to dedicate a special portion of the show to talking about Linda McMahon, who had lost her second bid to become the senator for Connecticut. You're going to love what I have to say. One of the main questions we're asking over here tonight, what is next for Linda McMahon? Because that's twice now she's been burned. You'll love my takeaway, what all I have to say. Of course, the lovely co-producer Tammy, she'll join me in the later part of the show. Now, for those of you that are curious right now, co-producer Tammy actually had just gave me an update on what's actually happening with Linda McMahon. Now, the Associated Press, NBC News, they've already called it. It's in the bank. It's money in the bank. That's it. But from what we're able to see right now, and lovely co-producer Tammy, that is not how you work the remote, girl. You just keep working your magic and come back to me later. Co-producer Tammy is new when it comes to working the remote control over here. You know, you could let me do it. I could pull it up. There you go. See, you had it. Now you don't. You had it, now you don't. You just all over the place, just sporadic. And I tell you what, I'll give them what I had last took down, which was about 20 minutes ago, my information that I have for Linda McMahon going up against Charles Murphy. Oh, you actually got it. Do you have it or not? Why are you teasing me? Don't tease me. And see, you want to point it at the box. Point it at the box. Look, you missed it. You missed it. See, just don't bother me until you absolutely have it, okay? All right, my notes as of 20 minutes ago, because we actually had just posted the article on our website over at InfinityOneProductions.com. And for those of you that want to stay on that, you can just bookmark that link that we have on our website, as we'll be updating it throughout the night for you all, so that you know the very latest as the numbers become available. But last we were able to see, Chris Murphy has just over 60% of the votes. I repeat, Chris Murphy has just over 60% of the votes, and it is coming in right now at, give me a second, folks, I don't have my glasses tonight. It is coming in, correction, at 54%. Votes are coming in at 131,156 over McMahon's 45% of votes, which has her at 109,16. As last we heard, that was just a grand total of 15% of the votes that are coming in from Connecticut. And, again, we'll have more on that for you guys in just a little bit. We're trying to stay on top of it all over here, so we apologize in advance if we're fumbling over here. But we got a full house over here tonight, and usually all of us are not here at the same time. We got the lovely co-producer Tammy here watching the live Decision 2012. We got Zed paying attention to the Twitter feed, seeing what you all are saying, seeing what all you guys are just talking about, what's trending right now. And, you know, we're just doing everything we can, so you can expect those little fumbles throughout the night tonight. We're just going to stop what we're doing and give you guys the latest news. But in the meantime, let's talk about WWE Raw that had aired from this past Monday night. For those of you that might have missed it, as we know there are still several hundred thousands of you that are unfortunately without power right now, and it is so very unfortunate because you all that got hit severely by Hurricane Sandy, for some of you, you now are going to be seeing snow, and we hear it's going to be a lot. So you really have our thoughts and our prayers with you right now as you and your family are trying to re-piece together your lives, your homes, etc. So hopefully for the next hour plus that we're on the air, we can take your mind off of whatever problems you have that's going on in your life right now. If you've been affected by the hurricane, or you just need a break from the presidential campaign, or, hey, you don't have a TV, you don't have any electricity, hey, we hope that our friendly voice can get you through the night for a little bit. All right, so let's talk about WWE Raw. One of the key points that we saw from Raw this past Monday night was the continued allegation of John Cena being in a romantic yet fraternizing relationship with one AJ Lee, as Vicky Guerrero brings this supposed new evidence to light that solidifies that John Cena and AJ Lee no doubt has some type of a fraternizing relationship going on. Now, this new evidence that Vicky Guerrero would bring forth in front of John Cena and the WWE Universe showed a ridiculous camera angle that shows AJ Lee leaving her hotel room. And keep in mind that the camera surveillance is black and white. So we see AJ Lee come out of her hotel room. All she's wearing is a bathrobe. And we see her knocking on somebody's door. Now, the door opens. We don't see who greets her. And she just rushes on in. Now, we look at that. We say, okay, that's really nothing. That doesn't show anything. That doesn't prove anything. Well, the next footage that Vicky Guerrero shows is from a different camera angle, and this angle shows John Cena wearing nothing but a bath towel around his lower area, trying to put up a do not disturb sign. So you're kind of left with the impression here that John Cena had some type of a booty call with AJ Lee. At least that's how it's looking. Now, we see John Cena. He shoots all this down. He points out to Vicky that it's obviously clear that those were two separate camera angles, basically kind of almost fused into one. Basically, Vicky Guerrero, she had no argument. Well, Vicky Guerrero tried to get AJ Lee to chime in her thoughts on the matter, and AJ Lee, she remained backstage telling Vicky Guerrero that if she were to come out in front of Vicky, she would lose her job because she would just beat the living hell out of Vicky Guerrero, and that's not something that she wants to do, as she wants to be in the WWE so badly. It's a lifelong dream of hers, yada, 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 yada. But here's where it gets very interesting. We see Dolph Ziggler just come out of nowhere, and he puts his arm around AJ, looks at her, looks dead at the camera, really trying to have his eyes locked on John Cena, and says, yes, AJ, and we all know what you are very good at, which just leaves you with a strong insinuation that Dolph Ziggler maybe had some type of a rendezvous with AJ, perhaps. There is some type of a connection with AJ Lee, which just has you wonder just what exactly is the connection between the two. And most importantly, what the hell does it have to do with Vicky Guerrero? I mean, all kinds of thoughts are just going in my head as I'm hearing this story. Now, I'm keeping in mind that this is supposed to be a PG-rated show. But I'm kind of saying to myself, I wonder how far they can push this whole PG. Now, last I checked, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong here, but PG, last I checked, means parental guidance suggested, or guidance suggested. I believe that's what PG means. Anybody in the chat room, y'all are more than welcome to clarify what PG means. But last I checked, co-producer Tammy, PG, it does mean parental guidance suggested. So when I hear that, that basically says, hey, parents, you may want to sit with your kid and guide them into what it is that they're watching on the television, right? Feel me on this. There's a reason why I'm saying this. A lot of people, they look at the PG rating and they say, oh, man, WWE, they can't really do this, they can't really do that. Yet we've seen from time to time and time again that WWE, they have really, really pushed the envelope when it comes to PG. I mean, it is almost borderline TV rated 14. It just flirts at it. So I'm wondering right here, could this new storyline here that now has intrigue because Dolph Ziggler has some type of claim in it. I mean, before it was just Dolph Ziggler coming to the aid of Vicky Guerrero, being that backup mouthpiece, right? But now we're led to believe that Ziggler has some type of a connection with AJ. I wonder if part of AJ having a job in the WWE involves sleeping with Dolph Ziggler. Just think about that. How badass would that be if they play this out just the way that I'm suggesting, and it's revealed that Dolph Ziggler has been knocking the boots with AJ. Somebody making good love, somebody really knocking the boots. I just, you know, I'm picturing that right now, and I just think that would be so badass right now. And I know some of you, you're probably looking at that and you're probably saying to yourself, yeah, Lee, but that storyline, I don't really like it. It kind of sucks. I kind of agree with you, but if it's handled in a way that could really elevate the hell out of John Cena and Dolph Ziggler and make you, that wrestling viewer, more sold into their match. Not that that angle is really needed, because Dolph Ziggler, he works damn well with anybody that he steps foot in the ring with, hands down. But I must admit, now, I'm not flip-flopping here. Last week, I go completely on record tonight when I say this storyline, I could care less about it last week. But now that it's really looking like Ziggler has some type of a claim into it as it's furthering along his program with John Cena, I must admit, I'm very curious to see how this is going to play out. And, it's just one of those angles right now where, at least for me, they definitely have me locked on for another week to see how this storyline plays out. And it's funny that we mentioned John Cena, because John Cena did double duty tonight, folks, or Monday night, that is. John Cena had to team up, first time ever, with Mr. Feed Me More, Ryback, as they took on the team of CM Punk and Dolph Ziggler. Now, that sounds like a very good main event tag match for Raw, doesn't it, folks? Well, it was, in fact, a great tag team match. Now, let's set this up for you guys, let you guys know how exactly this came about. Now, this all is just one big boomerang that is just connected to one guy, okay? And that one guy is Brad Maddox. We actually saw Brad Maddox finally, 2 weeks removed from the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. He went on record live in the WWE arena and said to a Birmingham, England crowd why he did what he did at the Hell in a Cell main event match for that WWE Championship, where he screwed Ryback out of becoming the new champion. Maddox, very poorly, I might add, as his acting, very horrific, very bland, beyond generic. It was one of those segments that made you want to say, you know what, I could do a better segment with my created wrestler on WWE 13. That's how bad this segment was, folks. We saw Joey Ryan talk about how he had this lifelong dream of how he wanted to become a WWE superstar. And I'm saying to myself, when does it become superstar? I don't know about you guys listening at home, but I remember when I was growing up, I didn't want to be a WWE superstar. I wanted to be a WWE wrestler. Big difference right here. So, young kid here saying how he wanted to be a WWE superstar, never getting his opportunity, moaning, pissing, groaning about how he did anything and everything he could to try to make it into the WWE as a wrestler, but they told him he didn't have that look, they told him he didn't have that build, they told him he couldn't talk right, he just didn't have that total package, and he talked about how he even went as far as to pay $2,000 for a tryout match. But when it was all said and done, he wasn't able to get that big WWE contract. Well, persistence, it eventually pays off. And for him, it paid off in a way where he was given a developmental contract. But even at that, he met the same resistance. Now, pause right there. Who does that remind you of when you hear that? If you have Best in the World, CM Punk DVD, then you know that part of this story that Maddox is saying has somewhat similarities to the WWE champion, right? You kind of see the connections there. Now, we see Maddox, he sits up and says that as soon as he saw an opportunity present itself where WWE, AJ Lee, needed more officials to referee matches, he jumped at the opportunity. And he figured what better name to make a name for himself than on the biggest stage of them all, where he felt everybody would remember his name. He would be a household name at that, and he would get that popularity that he feels is long overdue. So, Hell in a Cell, as far as he was concerned, that was his moment to strike. That was his big payday, and now as far as he's concerned, everybody around the world in their households, they now know his name. That sounds good, don't it, when you hear it? But when you heard him talk on the mic, the guy freaking sucked. I mean, this guy sucks so bad. I would have rather sat up and watched a 48-hour marathon of Golden Girls. I would have preferred to sit up and watch a 48-hour marathon of Chips. I would have just preferred anything else than to watch this poor segment because that's how brutal it was, okay? And for me, watching Golden Girls for 48 hours straight is torture for me. I'm sorry, I can't go through it. I will run screaming my ass out of the window. I can't stand that show. It's so weird, too, because when I was a kid in the 80s, I actually remember my mom watching that show religiously, and she used to try to sit me down and watch it. I didn't want to watch that shit. The show I wanted to watch back in, this is, the 80s, or late 80s, 90s, early 90s. The show I wanted to watch back then was Alf, Empty Nest. I didn't give a flying hoot about some old girls running around, but I'm getting sidetracked. You see my point. That's how bad this Maddox segment was. And thank the heavens above, and I'm not talking about 7-Eleven, Vince McMahon saved this segment. And you all can definitely agree. He saved the segment because it needed help big time. The England crowd letting this guy have it. Just their chance of Ryback, that was their way of saying they would have rather seen Ryback come out, 3 seconds, destroy Maddox, and be done with it. And I totally was in agreement of that. But we got the WWE Chairman, Vince McMahon. He made a special cameo appearance, and he told Maddox that, hey, so you want to be a WWE superstar, huh? Well, okay. Okay, I'll see that. I'll give you $1 million contract if you can beat Ryback. And folks, bear in mind, Maddox did go on record and say that what he did to Ryback was all his doing. Paul Heyman and the WWE Champion CM Punk had nothing to do with what he did at Hell in a Cell. Now, I don't know about you, but that just sounds like a big pile of you-know-what. Okay, so in no shape or form am I buying that he just was rogue and he did this by himself. But in either case, McMahon gives him the opportunity. He says if you can beat Ryback, and this match is going to be happening next week, if he can beat him, then he will get a $1 million contract. Now, that's pretty much the end of that. Now, let's look at the similarities that we have right here. Zed, I was paying attention to your tweets, and I know you're listening to me in your neck of the woods there while you're watching the Twitter feeds. I am very well aware of what you had said the other night, and I want to pick up on that because I thought you made a very valid point. You said that looking at how Brian Maddox was handled with his whole contract, demanding a contract, wanting to be a wrestler and wanting to take on Ryback, yes, there are some similarities there to the path that TNA wrestler Mr. Joey Ryan, who wants a mustache ride, had took when he had landed in the Impact Arena for Gut Check, lost, went on that whole little social media campaign trying to win his way to a TNA contract and basically having TNA Wrestling do the right thing, award him with the contract, but it kept meeting resistance week after week till eventually he started picking on the judges, first Taz, then Al Snow, and eventually he had that match. He got the contract For those of you that have been following your TNA wrestling, you know all this already. So you can agree that there are some similar backgrounds there between the two. Is it a blatant ripoff? Well, some will argue that wrestling companies have been stealing story angles from each other for many, many years. And you're not going to get any argument from me. I totally agree with that, hands down. But the thing that I can't stress enough is that the last thing WWE wants to do right now is put themselves in a position where they're doing all these similar rip storylines from TNA Wrestling, knowing that they have that court appearance with them that's just right around the corner, should be hitting before the Thanksgiving holiday, if I'm not mistaken, and have so much evidence be piled against them that it could make the judge say, okay, you know what, you're actually on to something. Yeah, they are kind of, we see exactly what you're talking about. Okay, TNA, we rule in your favor. It just would not be good for WWE. I would be all for this if the lawsuit did not exist, and it's just going back and forth. But with this whole lawsuit in the picture, it really just doesn't look good right now to be doing this. But you know my old saying, if it can be done in a way where they make it their own, then it's not exactly knocking off. It's not exactly copyright. And in this particular case, though there are strong similarities between the two, it's, in my book, it's just not enough to say it's a blatant ripoff. Similar, yes. Ripoff, no. And based on what we had saw from the latest development with the AJ Lee, John Cena scandal, which has been compared to AJ and Dixie Carter, it looks like now it's taking a slightly different turn. So very curious to see how this all pans out. But for right now, it's all flattery copywriting, just WWE making it its own. But those were your two main highlights from Raw this past Monday night. Everything else was just really bland. We were interacting with a ton of you guys during that episode of Raw, and many of you tuned out, actually, on that Maddox segment. We were very surprised at the number of you that had backed out. Many of you had went on record and said that Raw had sucked because of the AJ Cena segment, the Maddox segment. Some of you all actually did not even like the new change in the Survivor Series card. And we got to let you guys know about that, as that's another bombshell that Mr. McMahon had dropped as he had presented Maddox with that $1 million contract opportunity. Vince McMahon changed the main event of the Survivor Series pay-per-view, as now CM Punk is no longer in that 5-on-5 traditional tag match. No. Now CM Punk will have to defend his championship against John Cena and Ryback in a triple threat match. Going in CM Punk's place as team captain is none other than Dolph Ziggler. And we actually did see the WWE Champion have some very heated words with Dolph Ziggler, as Vicky Guerrero had came out of the chairman's office to let Ziggler know that he was appointed team captain. Well, another bombshell was dropped on them by Vicky, as she revealed that the chairman decided that they were going to be teaming up to take on John Cena and Ryback. And that was actually a decent tag match, I must say. I loved how the strategy for that whole match between Ziggler and Punk and just all those guys. I love Punk and Ziggler's strategy early on, and it worked for a good chunk of the match, which was keep Cena separated from Ryback, and they were doing a phenomenal job. I know we had wrote it up in our review the other night, but I can't stress it enough. For me personally, just seeing Dolph Ziggler just unleash those flurry of elbow strikes on John Cena, that was just really awesome. I love how he just kept picking it back up, spinning it, dropping it. He just did that repeatedly. I believe he did at least 8 elbow drops on John Cena. That just made me go, damn. That was probably one of the best things I had loved about that match. Eventually, we did see John Cena successfully make that tag to Ryback, and from there, Ryback just completely cleaned house. The match was over, and I just loved that stare-off that we had got between John Cena and Ryback at the very end to close out the show, as it was pretty much like, and I was getting goosebumps just thinking about this segment here as I was watching it just for the very first time. You know what it reminded me of? And I had to think about it for a little bit, and actually I had to sleep on it because I was like, I've kind of seen this before somewhere. It's got shades of a little something. What? I can't really put my finger on it. So then I kind of slept on it, and I refreshed my memory a little bit more. Just that whole stare-off, just the way it all had came about, it kind of had those ingredients of Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior in the Ultimate Challenge. I believe it was at WrestleMania, what was it, 7, 8, where Ultimate Warrior had defended his Intercontinental Championship against Hulk Hogan's WWF Championship. That just reminded me of just that whole thing, and I was just liking how that was coming together there. John Cena, kind of like that new Hulk Hogan. Ryback, got those ingredients there. He's that new Ultimate Warrior breed there. I was really liking how those two were just rubbing off of each other. And I love how it was dubbed that this could be the only time we would see these two guys ever join forces, as Michael Cole, Jim Ross, great commentating all throughout the night, by the way, kept hyping up that these two men, never before, probably never again, they'll team up, stressing how Ryback is a loner. He does everything to the beat of his own drum. Really loving the way they were just hyping that up. Other matches that we had on Raw from this past Monday night, we saw Cody Rhodes defeat Daniel Bryan, followed by Kane beating Damian Sandow just after Cody Rhodes came fresh off of his win against Bryan. Cody Rhodes set Damian Sandow up perfectly. He said, hey, I beat Daniel Bryan just like we're going to do the tag team champions and become the new tag team champions. Hey, I bet Sandow could beat Kane. And that's pretty much how we had got that match. But tides turned. Kane defeated Damian Sandow. Sheamus had defeated Miz. That was a pretty solid contest right there. Once again, Miz continues to be buried. This is not going to be the last time we talk about Miz suffering a defeat either. SmackDown alert. Layla and Caitlyn defeated Eve and Asuka Anna. That was a little bit of a shocker for me because I finally got to see Asuka Anna start earning her money and work her ass off for that WWE contract, as she finally had to compete in a match. About time. Didn't really see too much that was impressive, but it looks like she's off to a great start. We saw Wade Barrett, England's own, and talk about Bizarro World. They were cheering this guy on like he was freaking John Cena, CM Punk. It was really weird out there. Wade Barrett defeat Brodus Clay. That was actually one of my favorite matches of the night. I actually liked the way those two had really brought it to one another. Heath Slater defeated Jey Uso. And, of course, we had that match between CM Punk, Dolph Ziggler, as they had lost to the team of John Cena and Ryback. You know, overall, Raw, you know, it really didn't have that many good matches that you could really sink your teeth into. And if you were keeping track, we had got a total of 10 matches. Now, I actually had missed one match, which was Sin Cara, Rey Mysterio, R-Truth. They defeated Antonio Cesaro, Darren Young, Titus O'Neil. But just out of those 10 matches, it was really a snoozer. Like I said, the greatest matches on that night was actually, like I said earlier, it was the Sheamus versus Miz, that was pretty decent. I'm kind of thinking back in my head here, folks. And the Wade Barrett versus Brodus Clay, that was pretty much it. The Cobro versus Primo and Epico, that doesn't really count as far as I'm concerned. That was mainly a filler match. But I must admit, Santino Marella, once again, proving why he is entertaining as hell. He really had that England crowd in the palm of his hand. I was really loving how he came about. Raw, without a doubt, it was a must-not-watch episode. You really didn't catch anything significant on this episode other than hearing the new change in the Survivor Series card, which I must admit, though some people felt that this was a dumb move by WWE, I thought it was the right move because just think of how it was last week on the RCWR Show, Tuesday Night Wrestling Report, when we had asked you guys, what did you think of the main event being announced for Survivor Series, and you all said that at this point you just couldn't see yourselves ordering the pay-per-view because the card just looked very weak. You didn't understand why you needed to order it if the WWE Champion wasn't defending his championship. So without a doubt, this was the right move, and from what we've been able to gather, WWE, they've been paying attention to those tweets. They've been paying attention to what people have been saying on YouTube, Facebook. They realized that the card sucked, and that's why they changed it. So more power to them. Can't say that they're not listening to the WWE Universe in some aspect. Overall, though, Raw, hands down, wasn't an exciting episode. Furthermore, it didn't help that Raw was tape delayed, so unfortunately a lot of dirt sheets, a lot of wrestling websites, they put those spoilers out there letting you guys know what you could expect on that night's Raw, and there were a ton of you all that sat up and said, no reason to watch Raw, I already know the results. So kudos for you if you had read the results, because you, without a doubt, you missed a snoozer of an episode. But overall, that is what it is. All right, so we're going to take a brief commercial break right now, and then when we come right back, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to talk about WWE Smackdown, and of course, we want to turn that attention to Linda McMahon suffering that loss, as the question is asked right now, what's going to be happening next for the former WWE Co-Chairman? We'll be taking that brief commercial break, and of course, we'll be opening up the phone lines in the later part of the show. You're listening to the Tuesday Night Wrestling Report edition of the RCWR Show. We'll be coming right back, folks. Do hang tight.
Hey guys, the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders here, and I just wanted to take this time out to thank you for checking out this episode tonight. And you know, if you liked what you had heard tonight and you want more, then be sure to check us out every single Tuesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on this website at blogtalkradio.com, also on our sister website at InfinityOneProductions.com, where every single week you'll be able to get that wrestling fix, as we'll give you guys the latest fallout from Monday's WWE Raw, share with you the reviews, honest analysis, no BS, no fluff, just what you want when you need it most, and we'll also get you guys caught up on the very latest in WWE wrestling-related headlines and so much more. And the best part about all this is that every single week we will be sharing with you all live fan reactions, as we want to hear from you, whether it is in our active chat room or you're interacting with us as we are live in progress by hitting us up on Twitter at InfinityOneProd, Facebook at InfinityOneProductions.com. We give you the necessary tools that's necessary to be able to interact with us each and every single week. For those of you that like to call into the show, hey, guess what? You'll be able to do that as well. This is the show that is for you, the wrestling fans, to be able to share your thoughts, your reactions, your likes, dislikes to what you had saw from Raw this past Monday night, or whatever's got you talking as far as wrestling-related news. So be sure to check us out every single Tuesday night, as it's our Tuesday night Wrestling Report edition of the RCWR Show at 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR Show, and at our sister website at infinityoneproductions.com. Hey, you're going to miss our episode that's live in progress, won't be able to catch up with it until later. That's not a problem. Check us out on the downloads in the iTunes, Zune marketplaces, also on Stitcher, just by using the keywords, the RCWR Show.
All right, and we're back. You're listening to the Tuesday Night Wrestling Report edition of the RCWR Show. Black Avenger Lee Sanders here, going to be joined shortly by the lovely co-producer Tammy. Heads up for you guys, with 37% of the votes coming in Connecticut, Chris Murphy is the projected winner, as he has 320,593 votes over Linda McMahon, who has just 46% of the votes, coming in at 278,350. Of course, we'll be staying on top of that all throughout until the end of the show, but we'll also be continuing to update it throughout the night at our Infinity One Productions website. All right, so let's talk about SmackDown tonight. Very short episode of SmackDown, it felt to me, because we only got a total of, 4 matches? And I must admit, the one match that had really jumped out at me was because of how long it went, but it was entertaining as hell, was the Big Show and Wade Barrett, as they had teamed up to take on the team of Regal and Sheamus. And that match really got that dedicated amount of time. I love that. I love that they gave all that time for that tag match with those respective guys in it to just go on as long as they had went. It was, without a doubt, a very strong contest right there. We actually saw the team of Big Show and Wade Barrett pick up the victory over Regal and Sheamus, as Big Show delivered that devastating WMD to the face of William Regal. Of course, this all was a result of what had happened earlier in the night, just before SmackDown had came on air, as Sheamus and William Regal, they were at a pub. They were trying to get their drink on. Big Show, he just came out of nowhere, attacked both of these guys. So we see Sheamus come down to the ring, and he's spoiling for a fight. He wants some of Big Show. Instead, he sees Wade Barrett, who's kind of teasing him a little bit. And remember, folks, these two guys, they're supposed to be locking up in less than 24 hours on Wednesday's WWE main event on the Ion channel, as that's going to be one hell of a match that those two guys are going to be having. So we see Booker T, he catches up with Wade Barrett, and that's how that match was made between all 4 of those guys. We also got to see Kofi Kingston once again defeat The Miz in an impressive match, but when it's all said and done, 4 times now, Kofi Kingston has been able to defeat Miz. And you just add up those losses to what we had just talked about on Raw from this past Monday night where Sheamus beat Miz. Man, it just really has not been looking too good for the Miz. Now, don't get me wrong. Kofi Kingston, the job is being handled just right. Miz is really helping Kofi get over right now, as we had saw post-match. We saw Miz try to do the right thing, good sportsman-like thing, extend that hand out, try to get that handshake. Kofi Kingston, he just delivers a drop kick, sends Miz flying over the ropes. Possible sign that this rivalry isn't over? Well, with that statement, hell yeah, the rivalry is probably still on. I'm not really sure, though. This is kind of weird to me, though. I don't know. But in either case, it is what it is. Kofi Kingston defeated The Miz. Moving along now, folks, we also had got to see Darren Young and Titus O'Neil defeat Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio. Post-match, they cut one funny promo on Matt Striker. I was really liking that. Matt Striker, they were making fun of him because of the way he had looked, his mustache that was growing in. He did kind of look like he had a Village People thing going on right there. So Darren Young, Titus O'Neil, you can't really say enough about those guys. Truly underrated. Looks like WWE's kind of shining in their favor once more. I'm kind of liking that right now. We also had got to see, of course, that main event match where we got to see, Randy Orton take on Alberto Del Rio, as just before that match, once again, worlds collided as we had got Rosa Mendez brushing off against Alberto Del Rio. Let's not forget, Monday Night Raw, same case scenario had occurred. Rosa Mendez kind of bumped into Alberto Del Rio. She was a little bit stunned by the way he looked. This time around tonight on SmackDown, we see Rosa say to Alberto, hey, good luck with your match. Well, luck wasn't what all Del Rio needed. He needed a ton more, as Randy Orton was able to defeat Alberto Del Rio. Taste of things to come, though, for Alberto Del Rio. I'm looking into my crystal ball here, and this continues to play out the way that it's playing out. It's very possible that Alberto Del Rio might ditch Ricardo for Rosa Mendez. That could be a really devastating Mexican power couple in the WWE if they do that right. I'm not really sure what to make of that. I'm definitely going to be paying attention to that in the next coming weeks, but I like those early seeds that they're planting there, that something could be developing between Alberto Del Rio and Rosa Mendez. Good timing, too, because honestly, all that little booty shaking, well, she has no butt for one, all the little hip shaking that she be doing in that little ring trying to get over Primo and Epico is just not enough. And look, like many of you, I love Primo and Epico, but the one thing that they don't have in their favor right now, they can't talk worth a damn, and unfortunately, that's only going to go but for so far. So unfortunately, good timing for Rosa Mendez to jump ship. Looking forward to seeing what she might be able to do with Del Rio, as that could be that next little kick that Alberto Del Rio needs right about now, just to try to keep him fresh, as he's really just been coming off stale ever since he had those series of matches with Sheamus. Then it looked like he got back to working the program with Randy Orton, recycled stuff. Be kind of nice to see what he could do with Rosa Mendez. But overall, despite only getting 4 matches from SmackDown tonight, when you just look at it overall, the execution better than Raw from this Monday, folks. I mean, we had Raw give us 10 matches, 2 boring, lame segments, and it just felt like a snoozer episode. But you go over to SmackDown from tonight, and you had just, hands down, a better show. We're not tooting it over here, folks. Nobody's paying us to hype up SmackDown or Dog, Raw, it is what it is, like it or not. And we know there's a passionate bunch of you that like your WWE Raw, and you sometimes are blind by realizing when WWE has given you a bad episode of Raw. But hands down, when it comes to tonight and you compare it to SmackDown, is the superior brand, at least this week. And speaking of the two shows, we got some rating news for you guys. WWE Raw, check this out. And this is from the episode that just aired on Monday. Pulled in a 2.76 rating with 4.76 million viewers. This is just down from last week's episode, which had a rating of 2.94. So, the big question kind of comes into mind. Well, did it kind of hurt that WWE and, of course, SmackDown was tape delayed or pre-taped? It could. That argument could be made because we had the dirt sheets, all the rep sites. They were able to put the spoilers out there. They were able to let you know the results. But then on the other hand, you just have to look at the content of the show for what it's worth. I think it's more about the type of content that they had on the show. And in this case, I think it was a combination of both of those. I won't really say it was all about them being taped. It was just really a combination of a lot of factors. But content for me, that's the big number one thing. All right, let's talk about Linda McMahon. We were teasing this at the beginning of the show, and we still have that last update that we had said from earlier. That stands where it is right now with Mrs. McMahon, as unfortunately the way it is looking right now, and it's probably going to remain like this all throughout the night, 54% of the votes have come in for Chris Murphy, as he has 320,593 votes over Linda McMahon's 46% of votes at 278,350, as 37% of the grand total of votes are coming in from Connecticut. Can't be stressed enough. We talked about it on our website, and we did promise that we were going to go more in depth into it when we were live on the air tonight. And I definitely want to bring co-producer Tammy in on this, just knowing what she knows about politics. She doesn't follow it as passionately as I do, but just knowing what she knows about this whole story. And for those of you that aren't really quite sure what the hell was going on with Linda McMahon and all that, basically a lot of people deem Linda McMahon as the one responsible for WWE going in the PG direction. A lot of people, disgruntled WWE fans, they will point out that Linda McMahon is the one that killed the Attitude Era in the WWE. And there are so many passionate WWE fans that to this very day, they just hate her freaking guts, because those same fans that liked WWE back in the Attitude Era, they're the same ones that unfortunately, once they started getting that sugar-coated stuff, that PG stuff, they went off to UFC, Pride, Strikeforce, boxing. They went into all that other stuff, okay? So you look at what had happened within recent years. Linda McMahon, she decided that she wanted to kind of distance herself from the WWE as much as humanly possible, because she wanted to have a political career. Now, by her having this political career, of course, it means that WWE is going to be under the microscope. Again, Linda McMahon doesn't want to have anything to do with the WWE. I keep driving that home for a main reason, okay? Now, we saw Linda McMahon 2 years ago, folks. She raised just a little bit over $50 million to run for Senate. And she lost, big-time loss. Now, some people would look at that loss and they would say, okay, well, Linda McMahon, she got her ass beat. She's going to lick her wounds, and she knows better now. She knows her place. Stick to the wrestling ring. Don't deal with politics. Well, Linda McMahon, she does it again. 2 years later, we fast forward to now. Linda McMahon, she coughs up just about over $40 million to run a very aggressive campaign. And in all the campaigns I've seen over the years, as far back as I can remember, I have never seen some of the most ugliest ads, smear campaigns, videos to come from Connecticut than from one Linda McMahon. I mean, she was just bashing the hell out of this Murphy guy. I mean, really, really just driving home the fact of why she felt she was the better candidate. And honestly, it just really came off like she was trying to buy the Connecticut Senate seat. Now, we see that as the numbers we just told you guys, once again, Linda McMahon, she's lost her second bid now for that Senate seat. And Tammy, I want you to come in on this, knowing what you know, knowing how many of those fans, they looked at Linda McMahon as the one that killed that Attitude Era and distancing herself from the WWE. And, of course, we got to address that one main issue that a lot of folks are concerned about. I mean, you don't really have to be in politics to really get this, but check it. You take the amount of money that she did 2 years ago and you pair that up with what she did now, that's a little bit just over $100 million that she claims is her own personal money. But the argument and the question is raised, okay, well, how exactly did you get that money? Did you get it from Vince McMahon and the WWE? Are they paying for your campaign? And she is basically swearing all up and down that the money is hers. She had nothing to do with Vince McMahon. She has nothing to do with the WWE. I mean, you even mentioned WWE. She's trying very hard to change the damn subject. Right? And
yeah.
So, go ahead, Tammy, go ahead.
Well, really, it's definitely one of those, okay, like you just said, what's next? And there's so many questions, with, okay, where did that money come from? I mean, is it some kind of political stuff where she's, campaigning and things like that? But somehow you kind of doubt it, because that's a lot of money.
It is.
Especially for a Senate seat.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, and it sounds very much like she's trying to buy that Senate seat.
And folks, notice right here, and for those of you that really weren't able to keep on top of what all Linda McMahon's been doing in Connecticut against this running mate of hers, this person that she's running against, I highly encourage you, when you get a free moment, go on YouTube. You'll see some of these videos we're talking about. And Chris Murphy, he comes right back and he's like, okay, you say that you've given over 250, 500 people jobs. Okay, how did you give them jobs? What was it through? What did you do? It was through WWE, right? And we just see Linda McMahon, she's not really owning up to the fact that, yes, she was able to supply people with jobs through the WWE, that she was able to build revenue, some type of income off of WWE. She's trying to pussyfoot around the subject, almost like she's embarrassed, if you will.
But that makes, that really makes no sense. I mean, well, it makes sense to her, obviously, but it doesn't make any sense. I mean, honestly, okay, this is where you're getting your numbers. This is where you're getting your money. This is where you're basing your numbers off of. But then when the subject comes up, no, that's not how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just silly.
It's
silly. I mean, honestly, you're either for it or you're against it. You can't kind of be both.
Nah. Both,
honestly, will get you tore up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because, honestly, they're going to feel like they're being lied to.
And that's exactly what seems to be the case in the polls right now.
Yeah, and the voice of the voters is definitely letting it be heard that they're, really not sure about her.
No. So now the new question has to be asked, Tammy, what's next for Linda McMahon? I mean, she's already put $100 million plus out there to unsuccessfully, put in that win for that Senate seat. What's next for her? Does she finally tuck her tail in between her legs and she goes crawling back to the WWE, or does she try to do this dance again in 2 years? We have some people that, and I think it's a fair argument. We have some people out there that will sit up and say, you know what, it's okay that she blew $40 million last time. It's okay that she blew $50 million this time. They'll make it all back by WrestleMania. But I mean, that's a lot of fucking money. Let's be honest.
Well, I have a feeling that with her actions and what she's doing right now, she's really not. I don't think she wants to be associated with the WWE. I mean, granted, she's married to Vince McMahon, but, either you don't want the association, and which says volumes to what you were looking and working for.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because if you don't want to be associated in anything brought up that's even remotely near the WWE, you apparently don't want to talk about it because I just don't want to talk about it because, it might sway somebody.
It's funny.
I mean, really?
It's funny because I just got this brainstorm as you were saying all that, and I was listening to everything that you were saying. But I just got this brainstorm. It was like an epiphany, if you will. It just went poof. Folks, we had the Raw 1000 episode. We had the WWE Don't Be a Bully, Be a Star campaign. We had the WWE Makes a Stand for Breast Cancer, doing that great collaboration with the Susan G. Komen Foundation. Nowhere in sight was Linda McMahon. If there was ever a time to take that stand and say, you know what, look, the WWE, yes, I acknowledge, because I am too a face of the WWE, just like my husband, just like my son-in-law, just like my daughter. Yes, I did used to represent the WWE, but how dare you sit up and say that the WWE is this, it's that. We are aware of how our image used to be perceived, but you're talking about something that no longer exists. As we've grown up, and our fans have grown up, and their children are now watching our products, and we want to make sure that in a type of society where everybody's business is out there, we want to make sure that we give those parents and their children a friendly environment that they can come to on a weekly basis. How dare you talk about something that no longer exists, because that's not what we're about. And look at all these great things that we did. John Cena is always going around, as well as other WWE superstars, doing Make-A-Wish foundations. I mean, she had so much fucking ammo, Tammy, that if she would have did it right the first time around, voters would not have sat up and felt like, you know what, this woman's a liar. Nah, man, I'm not really feeling her.
Well, I mean, like you were saying before, it's kind of like, okay, now what's next? Maybe it is at this point kind of tuck your tail between your legs and then try to look at being that spokesperson. But, I really don't see that happening. She is so, hell-bent on getting the Senate seat that I honestly, I think it's kind of like one of one of Christian's favorite sayings is one more match, and I have a feeling with her it's going to be one more time.
Well, I offer this advice, and who am I to give advice to a millionaire? But Linda, honey, baby, if you're listening, and I'll actually make sure that I tweet this to you personally. And for you guys in the chat room, those of you listening, tweet this episode to Linda McMahon. I'm going to give her some 411 right now, okay? I know a thing or two about strategizing, okay? Baby doll, Linda, you didn't win the first time. You didn't win this time. Here's my suggestion number one. Fire everybody and everyone that had to do with your staff, okay? Your campaigning, your marketing, all right? Fire everybody. You need to start with a clean slate. Then you get yourself a new publicist, okay? You get yourself a new PR, okay? Because at this point, without a doubt, the image, it needs to be changed big time. Then, like I just said, start mentioning that whole WWE, we're doing this, we're doing that. Honestly, if it was me, this is my best advice I could give Linda. Go back to the WWE. Capitalize off of all the good things that the WWE is doing. Okay? Set it up in a way where she could eventually use the WWE Universe to help her get to that Senate seat. Okay? Maybe she can get it the third time. I'm not saying buy it. I don't want her to buy it. Just go about it naturally, clean up her image, because this time around she looks really, really bad. Okay? So she really needs to clean her image up right now. And if she puts in that amount of time, honestly, it's going to take more than 2 years to clean up her image. It's going to take more than 2 years to clean up the foul smell that she's put out there in the past 4 years, okay? She's going to need at least 5 years to repair her rep, hands down. Once she does that, then maybe she could come on back, have a decent shot at winning that Covenant seat. But you know what? Honestly, if she doesn't get it a third time, then hands down, call it a day already.
I can agree with that. Just kind of like you said, she needs to earn it, not buy it.
And Dave brought up a very good point, Tammy. We couldn't agree more. That's exactly the point that we're making. She would have already got it if she used the WWE.
Sure, because when you try to shut something out or ignore that part, sometimes, and a lot of times, it really does come back to bite you.
It really does. And on that note, let's go ahead and open up the phone lines. We got a ton of you that want to chime in your thoughts on this. We got about 15 minutes left of showtime. So let's go ahead and this is what we're going to do. We're going to give you guys 90 seconds. Get your thoughts ready. Come on prepared because we got 15 minutes left. I want you guys to try to make your point in 3 minutes because I see there's a good amount of people on the line tonight. So make your point in 3 minutes or less. Let's have at it. All right, let's kick it off. Let's go with our good friend Tony from the Michigan area. You're live on air, my friend. Going once. Homie, you there?
Hey, hello?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? I'm from San Antonio, so it kind of threw me off. My bad.
My bad.
It's cool. I was going to talk about that Brad Maddox thing. I don't know if you went on the WWE's YouTube site. They put up an old match between him and Ryback.
Homie, come up a little closer. Come up to the mic a little closer.
Can you hear me better? I'm sorry.
Say that again.
I don't know if you went on their YouTube channel, but they put up a Brad Maddox versus Ryback match back when they were in OVW. It's like 4 or 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. I wish you would have brought that up instead of, the whole I wanted to be a WWE superstar. He could have just said, I'm jealous of his, how fast he's risen up in WWE, yada, yada, yada. So he thought he'd screw him over, something like that. But, Yeah, you're right. It does kind of similarities towards the Joey Ryan thing. And I do agree with you about Linda McMahon. She fucking blew it with everything that they do with the Coleman and the Make-A-Wish and all that stuff. And that's it. And it looks like Barack Obama just got reelected. So
it's looking like it. What's the official numbers now?
They said that he just won Ohio, and that pretty much iced it. So looks like he got it.
All right. We thank you for that, homie. Looks like President Obama's been elected for 4 more years. Of course, we're still going to be staying up all night to make sure it's official. I don't know, Tammy. I might write something up on that maybe in the wee hours of the night. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. All right, let's go now to our good friend Dave. Dave, you live, my friend.
Hey, yep. It's right now 275 to 203.
Oh, that's a lock, then.
Oh, yeah, he just won Ohio. They just said that, too.
Yeah.
Not to turn this into Fox News, but like you guys were just saying before, I mean, just think if Linda McMahon would have been saying, you know what we did in that time, we were rivaling against another company, so we had to go edgier. But I'm proud of what we did. We did what was best for business.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went edgier, and they kept wanting to play, I don't know if they did still, but remember last time that one guy kept running the whole Trish Stratus barking like a dog thing. They kept running
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they wanted the whole staying up for the WE thing, which they weren't really. So they were basically turning their back on the WE fans, like they still are, basically, because she doesn't want to admit that she's a part of the WE.
Right.
Which is sad because, just like you said, Raw 1000, or hell, even this month alone would have been a perfect time to come back and say, you know what, and have Linda do a speech on Raw to being part of the 1000th episode would have been great, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just sad because she could have won it already. Heck, she could have won it last year, I think, if she would have just stuck behind the WE.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And whatever happened to the Smackdown Your Vote thing? You remember that? They were doing that for so long.
Yeah, that used to be a main
I know, they were
part of the shows around this time, yeah.
But I think it's because Linda was running for office, and they would basically be showing a bipartisan, or whatever the word is called exactly.
Bipartisan, yeah, I got you, yeah.
I think that's why they probably stopped doing that, because of Linda.
Mm-hmm.
Because they would be showing more of a...
Tammy, you agree with that?
Yeah, actually, that's sad, but yeah.
Yeah. What you got, Dave?
You know...
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, last night it was really like, I was just bored and like, man, it was putting me to sleep on Raw, and then like, tonight was just like, wow, I was into almost every match.
Now, did you dodge the dirt sheets for both respective shows?
Yes, I heard people putting it out on Twitter. I was just staying off. Like, you know what? I'm just going to stay away, put a little comments when I want to write about something. I hate dirt sheets in general. Just think if dirt sheets were around way back, which they might have been a little bit, but in the 90s,
mm-hmm.
I mean, just think how bad ECW and WWE would have been doing back then.
Oh, my God. They would have been.
I mean,
they would have been doing freaking horrific, Dave. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, and I hate these spoilers and anything else, especially I wish SmackDown would do it every Tuesday, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Monday, maybe a lot of people would be too much.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was looking ahead at the schedule, and I'm kind of feeling bad for you, Lee. In December, I was looking at December, I think it's the 17th, 18th, and 19th.
Yeah.
Kind of sort of like this week, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if you're going to take that week off or not. So it's like, USA's going to have like 3 straight nights of wrestling on there.
I was looking at what was happening for December, and it's like, yeah, Tammy, December is going to be a bad month. Because, oh, my God, I'm going to get killed in December. And it's my birthday that month. That's the fun part. Yay. I don't know. I think we might have to get a substitute. I don't know who the hell could substitute. There's no way. I mean, I got energy, but I don't know, man. That's 3 freaking episodes of WWE programming that's going to be airing back to back to back. You know, any ideas, Tammy?
Sounds like we'll have to do some brainstorming after the show.
Yeah, we're going to have to do some brainstorming on that one. All right, let's go to our good friend, Don from the New York area. Oh, wait, sorry, Don. Let's try that again. All right, my buddy, you live.
Yo, what's up?
Hey, man, what's up?
To quote the great JTG, yo. Now, listen. First off, JBL was stellar again on the microphone tonight. I'm really glad they brought him back in the announce booth. At one point, he crushed Josh Matthews for calling the primetime players alluring. That was great. He says, what are you going to call him, cute next, Josh? That was awesome. But the crowd was so fickle. Like last night when Wade Barrett came out, they were just uber over for him. And tonight, it's like they were like sitting on their hands. I didn't understand it. It was kind of strange. Maybe they didn't get their soup and porridge or something. I don't know that crowd in England. But Lee, let's talk about the 800-pound pink gorilla in the room, okay?
What is it this week?
In fact, how are you going to save face next Monday night when Brad Maddox beats Ryback and wins that $1 million contract, baby? Millions of dollars.
I tell you what, man. I would sit up and say if Brad Maddox wins, I'll shave my head bald, but I'm already there. So I really can't put nothing else out there on the line. I tell you what, I'm not even going to predict that match. I'm not. I mean, honestly, and homie brought up a very valid point. He said that there was that match there that Maddox had against Ryback 4 or 5 years ago, and I kind of heard a little rumblings about it, and I meant to actually check it out before we came on the air tonight. I'll be checking that out right after the show, and I tell you what, if I like what I see from Maddox as I'm watching him wrestle Ryback, then that's going to let me know exactly how things are going to go down Monday night, because if I'm really picking up that vibe that, okay, Maddox, this match, okay, it's on fucking point, then you know what? I could actually believe that he'll beat Ryback and get that $1 million contract. I don't know. I got to watch that match, though, because I'm very curious to see how he performed in that. All right, let's go to our next caller. Let me see. Who else we got here? We did Dave. We did Homie. I believe, no, that's it. We did everybody. We did good tonight. All right, we got everybody's calls out the way. Tammy, last thoughts. Linda McMahon losing. Thoughts on Obama getting a second term, the way it's looking right now?
Well, as far as Linda McMahon, it really needs to be a rethought process for her and where to go to next. I mean, honestly, your advice to her was on point. She really needs to pretty much start with a clean slate and really look into getting a new PR person and sort of a right-hand man, so to speak, to guide her. And because apparently whatever she's doing now isn't working. As far as Obama, I haven't seen the latest polls, and from what I'm hearing, 4 more years, and honestly, if he can continue to go in what he's doing now and get better and bring the country to a better place, because let's both be honest with ourselves. Mm-hmm. He inherited one hell of a mess, and he's making strides. Maybe they're not as quick or as much as we want them to be, but he's making such strides to get the country back in order. In some points with Romney, he was way too secretive, just like we were talking about with Linda McMahon, and not saying certain things, and they come back to bite you right in the butt. I don't want to go all hardcore here, but I will say this about Mitt Romney in retrospect. And, we usually save this type of talk for the Weekend Report edition of the RCWR show, but this Saturday we got to make room for our Call That Match special, as we're going to be offering match prediction for Sunday's TNA Turning Point pay-per-view. So it's kind of nice that we're kind of flirting in this kind of area tonight. I'll say this about Mitt Romney, and I'm going to leave it alone.
one of the things that he messed up in early on in his campaign was not releasing all of his previous taxes, tax claims, previous. You know what I'm trying to say. He didn't release his previous filings over the years. It was, I'm kind of getting with my people, and we're trying to determine what we're going to feed you all. I mean, what we're going to present. And, that was one of the things that kind of, made you say, okay, this guy's kind of, Obama is scheduled to appear at the Obama headquarters in Chicago in just a little bit to address the nation about his winner, as he has been elected the 44th president of the United States. So congrats to Mr. Obama. But, 4 more years, I just have one message for the president. Make it count, and honestly, that's why I didn't vote, because for either man, for Obama, I didn't like what he did the first 4 years. For Romney, I had no freaking faith in that guy whatsoever. I'm very concerned about our country right now. I don't like the direction it's going. I have grave concern for it. And Obama, that's my message to him. Make these next 4 years count. A lot of people are depending on it. Even the ones that did not vote for you, they're dependent on you to really shape this country up. Don't let it be a case where it was 8 years for nothing. For the lovely co-producer Tammy, I'm the Black Avenger Lee Sanders. We thank all of you that had checked out tonight's show. Hopefully we were able to take your mind off of the hurricane, for those of you that might have been affected by it. For those of you that, just wanted to take a little break and just mellow out, chill with us. Let's do this again this Thursday night for Impact Showdown Radio, this Thursday night at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern, right here on Blog Talk Radio. Till we hear from you guys this Thursday night, you all be safe and be kind to one another, folks. We'll see you this Thursday night. Do take care.